Welcome to the Subway Conversation Chat. My name is Jamie Malloy, and I'm here to chat about all things New York baseball with you all and my co-host, Joe Dalio. So now, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going great. Good evening, Jamie. Good evening to everybody watching. I hope everybody's doing well. Another absolutely beautiful night in Buffalo, New York here. Weird to say that because it doesn't happen too often most of the year. But from this time, from now until like the end of October, we got some of the best weather in the country here. So we're enjoying that today.
Ditto in Rochester.
hmm
Yep, I can say the same thing. Or
Yeah,
Webster.
beautiful baseball weather.
Yep, terrific baseball weather. So, Joe, would you like to get us started with some Mets updates first? Kind of change it around this week.
Yeah, sure. And I had some computer issues last week and Wi-Fi issues, and stuff. So I don't feel like I was as focused last week. Still having some of the Wi-Fi issues, so hopefully they don't affect us here. But everything looks good so far. Not much to talk about as far as the Mets is concerned, just simply because they only played 3 games this week. And it wasn't because of the weather, it was because of a trip to London. And the league was nice enough to give them some time off before those games and after those games. Still, in my opinion, not quite enough time, to be honest with you. But they had Thursday and Friday off before playing the games in London on Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday off, and then playing last night and playing now. So only 3 games this week. We'll talk about the stats and stuff from that in a little bit, but really not a lot of news either here. As I lost some of my stats here. Brett Beatty, we were talking about last week and how he got sent down to Syracuse because of his struggles with the Mets. He actually came back for a game and got an RBI, I believe, as well. But then was sent right back down. And I'm thinking it was because of the London situation there that he was called up and then sent immediately down. But certainly the highlight this week, as far as injury news, as far as activations and transactions and things like that, is the return of Francisco Alvarez. He was gone with that thumb injury for a month and a half here. But he played his first game yesterday. Went 0 for 3, but you would have to expect that it's going to take some time to get back, into the rhythm. I mean, he did have a few rehab starts in the minors, and he did well with those at AA and AAA. Already tonight, I believe he's got an RBI in tonight's game that the Mets are up 5-2 so far. So he did get a hit and an RBI in tonight's game based on what I saw there. So very encouraging to have him back. Now, as he came back, the Mets designated Tomas Nido, I should say, for assignment. So we'll see what happens with him. I mean, Nido's been with the team for a while, so we'll see what happens. He had started the year in the minors before Alvarez got hurt. But again, we'll see what the Mets decide to do with him. Hopefully Alvarez stays healthy and we'll see what happens from there. But that's really it as far as transactions and things like that. They did have some encouraging news about Edwin Diaz, thinking it might be sooner than later that he gets back. So that would be good. No official timetable yet, but I'm hearing he should be back soon. So really that's it as far as Mets transactions and news. So the Yankees had a full schedule this week, so I'll send it back to you, Jamie, to see what's going on with them.
Well, Joe, thank you very much. And we definitely do have a lot to talk about in Yankee land. And we're going to start out with some good news on the injury report with Garrett Cole. Cole threw for 4 2/3 innings in his second minor league stint last Sunday for AA Somerset against Hartford. The ace pitcher threw 57 pitches and 44 strikeouts. He only allowed 1 run on 2 hits and struck out 4 batters. With velocity ratings tallying in the upper 80s and lower 90s, Cole reached 96 miles an hour once in the 5th inning and 95 miles per hour 5 times. Manager Aaron Boone suggested yesterday that Cole be making his 3rd minor league rehab start this Friday, and we can now confirm that we just found out that it's going to be in Rochester this Friday at Innovative Field, as Garrett Cole, number 45, has been officially promoted up to AAA Scranton and will be pitching against the Rochester Red Wings this Friday. And we are going, folks. The family and I are going, and we're excited to see him pitch against the Red Wings. We're also excited to see the Red Wings play too. So catch that game this Friday at 6:45 at Innovative Field under the lights there.
That is awesome. You told me that backstage, and I'm very excited for you that you're able to see that.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that. But it was his third minor league start, and that is that with Garrett Cole. Now we can move on to another prospect we hope to see, or we will most likely be seeing, barring an injury, is the Martian, El Marciano, Jason Dominguez. Prospect Jason Dominguez displayed his talents last night while playing his recent rehab game with AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre against the Rochester Red Wings. While the center fielder continued to bat strong, he hit a homer that added to the team's 10-0 shutout. But the home team, New York Yankees, don't have the room to bring Dominguez into the lineup at this time. And a quote here from Aaron Boone: "He is playing well and is in a good spot," Yankees manager Aaron Boone commented. We are aware of his capabilities. His arrival will excite us due to the impact we know he can make, but we're not in a rush. Boone emphasized that Dominguez would not be brought up unless there was a consistent opportunity for him to play. If he's going to be called up, he's going to be playing regularly, Boone said with certainty. There has to be a clear path for him. So now let's send it back over to Joe for some more Mets updates. Joe?
All right. So like I said, it's a little light this week because there was only 3 games. Now the Mets went 1-2 in those 3 games. Now the positive part about this is a split with the Phillies. Not too many people are beating the Phillies these days. So the fact that the Mets were able to split that 2-game series in London is encouraging. Now, what was not encouraging was a loss to the Marlins last night, 4-2 loss. So they were outscored 16-10 in those 3 games, which again, 1-2, you want better than that. I'm not concerned about the loss to the Phillies, but the one to the Marlins kind of bothers me a little bit. Now, you can possibly attribute that to the London hangover, right? Coming back from there, again, only having the 1 day off. So I said it last week. I'm very curious to see how this trip affects the Mets and how it affects the Phillies. And hopefully, again, it doesn't have too much of a negative effect. And like I said, the Mets are up 5-2 right now. You know, in the middle of that game, I believe it's the 4th inning right now. So still a ways to go in that game. But to get 5 runs in the first 4 innings tells me that it seems like they're okay. Another concerning thing with this too is the Mets just continue to play horribly at home. Now, I wanted to look this up. I just realized I forgot to do this, but I'll look for future reference here. But the Mets have to be one of the worst home teams in baseball. And I think 13-22, something along those lines, as far as their record at home. And you know, good teams. Now, I'm not saying the Mets are the great team, and again, we expected them to be mediocre at best. But again, good teams win at home, and the Mets need to be able to do that. Now, again, it's great that good teams win on the road as well, and the Mets are playing decent on the road. But really, they got to start winning these home games, especially to mediocre competition. Or to inferior competition like the Marlins. So hopefully that changes. And again, tonight is a good start. Now, just some statistical things. Nobody hit any home runs this week until tonight. Harrison Bader hit one earlier today. But the 3 games, the 2 games in London and the one last night, no home runs. J.D. Martinez and Mark Vientos each had 3 RBIs during the week. Now, Vientos slowed down a little bit. Remember, the Mets had brought him up, and he was playing extremely well. He only batted .222 this week, so a little bit of a slowdown there. But again, we'll take the 3 RBIs. And again, J.D. Martinez getting the RBIs, awesome as well. Jose Iglesias continues to play extremely well. He had 3 hits and 5 at-bats this week, 600 average. That's about a 1467 OPS. So excellent job there by Iglesias, who continues to play well. Starling Marte did well, hitting 500 this week. He had 8 at-bats, 4 hits in those, 1125 OPS. As far as the pitching is concerned, now I've been talking a lot about how I'm very happy about how the Mets starters are going innings. Maybe not pitching effectively every time, but eating up some innings for the relievers. That didn't exactly happen this week, and there was some struggles for starting pitchers. Tyler McGill, he pitched last night's game and got off to a blazing start, 8 strikeouts in the first 4+ innings, but he only lasted 4 2/3. And again, they ended up losing that game. Sean Manaea only went 3 2/3, and he struggled. He gave up 6 earned runs and 7 hits in that Saturday game. The Mets lost 7-2 against the Phillies. Jose Quintana only went 3 2/3, and he gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs during that time. So again, they got to get more from the starting pitchers. Hopefully they go back to the way it was there. And, Peterson so far doing well tonight, again, into the 4th inning, giving up 2 runs so far. So not bad there. As far as relievers, Adam Ottavino has been really struggling. He got back a little bit more to his normal ways here. He pitched an inning and 2/3 in a couple of games, only gave up 1 hit. No earned runs. There was a run given up during when he was in, but it was unearned. Adrian Hauser, again, we were talking about his struggles early in the season, and they put him in the bullpen. But you know what? He's having situations like this more and more. 2 2/3 innings this week. It just gave up a couple of hits, no earned runs. So hopefully he continues to trend in the right direction. Drew Smith and Jake Diekman, each with an inning and 2/3, no earned runs giving up there. And Reed Garrett won his 6th game, that game against the Phillies, and Drew Smith got his 2nd save in that game as well. So that's basically it as far as the stats are concerned there. And, hopefully the Mets can win this game tonight, that they're still up 5-2, win this series against the Marlins and go from there. All right. So got to tell you, though, Jamie, before I send it back to you, and I'm going to have you talk about this, I very much enjoyed watching your team over the weekend, and a playoff-type atmosphere in that series, and I was able to watch at least part of all 3 of those games and thoroughly enjoyed that. And you'll tell us, again, probably not liking the results as much, but I'm curious as to what your take is and some of the other information about the Yankees there with that series against the Dodgers and throughout the week here. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thanks, Joe. And yeah, obviously, no, it's not the outcome you wanted for that series for the Yankees. But remember, just like how they say Super Bowls for the Bills aren't won in September, World Series titles versus the Dodgers potentially aren't won in June. And we did take the Sunday game, so at least we won one of them. And it was a really interesting moment that I want to get into later. But first, I want to get into some Carlos Rodon news. Number 55 had been circling the Kansas City Royals series for over a year on his calendar, as last year his start versus the Royals didn't go well, but he was ready to end that this series. Rodon pitched a strong 7 innings, even elevating his fastball up to 98 miles an hour for probably the first time all season, and probably the first time as a Yankee he did that, because normally he just hits 95, 95, 96. He probably thought, I'm not tired, so let me see if I can get up to 97 or 98, and he did, and the Royals were struggling to hit it, so he kind of Luis Gilled himself there. He pulled a Luis Gill. He became a flamethrower on the night. So he didn't give up a hit also until the 5th inning. And with his 7 straight great start, his ERA is now down to 2.93.
That's awesome.
Or 2.93. Yep. Despite his best in 2023, he couldn't get his September 29th start out of his head. I think he was trying to channel Kylie Minogue because he can't get it out of his head. Uh, anyway, though, in that start, he allowed 8 runs, didn't record an out, and finished with an not so great 6.85 ERA. But that was all forgotten. And we have a quote from Rodon here. I definitely knew this game was coming, Rodon said. It was circled on the calendar, and I wanted to show up and give my team the best chance to win after coming out of here last year with what happened and not pitching well. I definitely remembered that. Joe, do you think that the start definitely cleared Rodon's head from last year's start against the Royals?
Yeah, I definitely do. You know, you get a start like that, that's the best way to forget and to get it out of your head there. Love the Kylie reference, by the way. But yeah, that's if you want to get something out of your head, that's the way to do it. Just come back strong, pitch a game like that. And now, you know, that's a game you don't want to get out of your head. You know, the next time you play against that team, that's the one you pay attention to. So, you know, 2.93 ERA in the American League. Not that there's that much of a difference between leagues now, like there used to be when the DH was just in the American League. But 2.93 ERA is nothing to fool around about. That's one of the best. And, you know, starts like that is going to keep him there. So very impressive. And again, very impressive the way he's been pitching all year, but especially the way he's been able to get a bad start like that out of his head.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that. And Rodon's certainly on a run here. Hopefully he keeps it up and remembers this game the next time they play the Royals and he starts.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about what's up with Anthony Rizzo here. Yankees offense for the most part has been explosive. Aaron Judge is on pace for 58 homers and Juan Soto is back, baby. They've done it all without top to average production from Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo used to be solid before he basically went belly up in June. And number 48's only batting 224 with only 7 home runs. Why in the world would his production decrease? Is the Riz wearing off now? Joe, do you think pitchers now can beat the Riz? What happened?
Yeah, he's my 8th grade students that I teach talk about having Riz all the time. But yeah, he's kind of lost the Riz a little bit. And it's sad to see because I've always been a big Rizzo fan ever since he was on the Cubs. And he's the type of player I like to see do well. One of the announcers during that series, I don't know if it was from ESPN or where it was, or Fox, because these games were all nationally televised. They were wondering if perhaps, you know, he's still kind of suffering a little bit from the concussion he had last year. Because I really don't have an answer as far as, you know, what's going on with him. It could just be an extended slump. You know, he's not a spring chicken anymore either, and could have lost the step here. And, you know, there could be several reasons. Again, the concussion, age, combination of all of those things. Again, just an extended slump because, you know, he seems to be getting less playing time now too because of it. So that, you know, won't help either. But again, it's necessary because if he's not producing, you do have so many good young hitters in that lineup that you got to get in. Hopefully he can get out of it though, because again, he's one of those that I'd love to see succeed. If he gets back on track, he could certainly be an excellent boost to that Yankees offense. Not that they need a boost, but again, just to keep it going. And, you know, they're not expecting production from him right now. They're getting it from so many other people. And, you know, if somebody else goes into a slump, you know, then, and he steps up, then, you know, there's a jump start again to that Yankees offense. So hopefully he can snap out of it. I hope it's not related to the concussion or anything like that. You know, I hope it's not anything that's, you know, a permanent, let's say. But again, it could be just age catching up too. And people slow down at this point, and it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. Again, he's playing less, but I'll tell you this, if he gets hot, you'll certainly see him in the lineup consistently again.
Yeah, or if he doesn't get hot, maybe they promote the Martian Dominguez up for him We'll see.
That is very possible, and I think they were talking about that in one of the games too. There was somebody else playing first base. I don't was it Verdugo or who was
Verdugo
playing
was playing first base. Yes, it was
Yeah.
Verdugo.
So, he's been playing first a little bit more, and he's pretty versatile. So, I mean, they have options if Rizzo doesn't pick it up, but it would be just so much better for the Yankees offense if he does.
And Alex Verdugo, we're going to be talking about him pretty soon, Joe. But my nickname for him, and my mom and I's nickname, we call him Boston because we signed him from the Red Sox.
From the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got some personality too. I enjoyed, ESPN had him mic'd up, and they were talking to him during one of the innings, and I enjoyed watching that too. So, I was never very aware of Verdugo. I knew he was a solid player when he was with the Red Sox and now, but definitely I'm a little more aware after this series here too.
Well, you're going to be even more aware when we get to his segment on why he left and is with the Yankees. But right now we want to talk about number 99, the captain, all rise, Judgment Day, Judgment May, whatever you want to call him, Aaron Judge. Number 99, the captain, didn't mince words and was upset that a few fans at Yankee Stadium chanted "We want Soto" when Trent Grisham was at the plate. And we all know what happened because Grisham ended up hitting a 3-run home run to give the Yankees the lead. So anyway, Judge said here, I wasn't too happy about it. Judge said about hearing "We want Soto" chants before Grisham's at bat per John Hyman in the New York Post. But I think he made a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Soto is among the betting favorites to win the AL MVP, which is a shock to no one, right?
Right. He's one of the logical favorites too, not just for bettors.
Mm-hmm. Right. Said basically everybody. Number 22 didn't play for the 3 games against LA due to forearm inflammation. And Soto says here, I'm happy for Grish. Soto told Heyman after Grisham became a temporary Yankees hero. We need everybody in the clubhouse. I'm glad he did that. And I'm glad he took the high road there and did that interview with class and handled that well. Sticking up for his teammates, saying it's not just me, it's everybody when I'm not there. So
exactly. And I don't think Soto's too worried about Grisham taking his job away. So, he can have that confidence to know that the job is his. And again, it's great to see a guy like Grisham step in.
Mm-hmm. And they actually, I believe they actually got him as part of the Soto deal too.
So, I wasn't aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Grisham, get this, Joe, you're going to laugh. This is like, the Yankees lottery commercial where the guy only bats 0.27, but he buys the team. Here we go. Trent Grisham had just an 0.82 batting average on the season when the 27-year-old stepped up to the plate to face Tyler Glasnow, who's obviously the one of the Dodgers flamethrowers on the team in the 6th inning of Sunday's game. When Grisham next entered the batter's box, the 8th inning following his homer, he then heard "We want Grisham" chant from the Yankees faithful in attendance. And now to me, Joe, Aaron Judge said it was intended at Grisham, but I actually don't think it was. I think the bigger picture here is they just wanted Soto to play because Judge said Grish can be a good player when you need him. And I think the fans just wanted Soto in the game, period. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that because they said, I think, that there was a chance Soto was going to play. In the beginning, or I don't remember exactly, but I thought that last game they said that perhaps there was a chance, and maybe the fans knew that and wanted to see him. Obviously, if I'm going to a Yankees game, I'd love to see Juan Soto play, especially with how well he's playing now. But again, I don't really see a lot of negative in that situation. I mean, I see where the fans are coming from. Yes. You don't want to take out frustrations on another player there, but I don't see too much negativity in that situation, to be honest with you.
And now, Joe, are you ready to become aware about more Alex Verdugo segments?
Yeah, talk to me. I'm like I said, I am ready to hear about this.
Good, because here we go. New York Yankees Alex Verdugo isn't likely to become the most popular player when the team travels to Fenway Park this Friday. The Bombers received the left fielder in a trade last December. He played with their divisional rival for 4 years while assisting them to the American League Championship Series in 2021. While Boston recorded 78 and 74 back-to-back records in 2022 and 2023, they didn't make the playoffs. Verdugo still has respect for the team, but thinks that they did not make enough changes in his last 2 stints with the organization. And we have a quote here. The other years were good, but it just felt like we were fighting a little bit. We didn't have the pieces that we needed. To not get them at the trade deadlines were a little bit tougher too, Virgo told Chris Castillo of MassLive.com on Monday. It would have been nice to see a little bit more initiative when I was there just to try to force winning. And Verdugo may have also had some issues with Red Sox manager Alex Cora. Last August, Cora benched Verdugo for being late to the stadium. And after that happened, he told the media that this was one of his worst days with the Red Sox. It looks like the trade has worked out for both Verdugo and the Yankees, as in 64 games, he has posted a .261 batting average, 8 home runs, 34 RBIs, and a .748 OPS. As the 28-year-old has had a great season with the Yankees this far, he won't care what the Boston fans say once he enters their stadium. He told Cotillo, I'm open to whatever they do. Okay, Joe, guess what? It is now that time in our show for our question of the week segment. So would you like to give it a try to start another streak?
Yeah, let's give it a try here.
Okay,
Joe,
I
could make excuses for last week's miss on my computer issues, but I won't do that. I would have got it wrong anyway.
Okay, Joe, here's your question. Who is the only New York Yankee player to win an MVP honor and Rookie of the Year in the same year? Is it Derek Jeter, Robinson Cano, Thurman Munson, Mark Teixeira?
So it was Rookie of the Year and MVP?
The same year.
In the same year. My first guess would be Jeter, but I don't think he was MVP that year. In 96, I would definitely say he won Rookie of the Year. I don't think Thurman Munson would have won would have won MVP. Who else? Who are the other 2 choices?
Robbie Cano or Mark Teixeira?
Yeah, I know Teixeira wasn't a rookie with the Yankees. I think he was with the Texas Rangers. So I'm going to knock him out of the mix there. I don't think Cano was MVP either. All right, listen, I am going to go with Derek Jeter.
Nope, it was actually Thurman Munson.
It was Thurman Munson. What year was that?
1976, 77, because he died in the plane crash at 32 and 79.
Yeah, he died in 79, but I thought I thought he was pretty established, before, they had those World Series teams. All right. Like I said, I wouldn't have guessed him because I didn't think he was MVP. Okay. Well, that's another excellent question there.
Thank you, but don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Joe, because let's turn it back over to you now for some more Mets talk. Joe?
Yeah, like I said, I really don't have any more than that. Now, hopefully they can get their act together and win some home games here. Now, they have this game today with the Marlins. They have tomorrow with the Marlins, I believe, and then, a series with the Padres. So that, again, they need to take 2 out of 3. They are playing tomorrow night and a 3-game series at home against the Padres before going off to Texas for the Rangers and to Wrigley Field. So win tonight, win tomorrow, take 2 out of 3 against the Padres, and I'm happy. I think that would be legitimate. And then you got a 6-game road trip next week that if they can at least go 3-3 on that, that'll get them going in the right direction. So, let's focus on these games here. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Again, the Padres are playing some pretty good baseball lately, so it's not going to be easy. But again, playing in Citi Field, I definitely think the Mets should be able to take 2 out of 3 from that. And again, the Yankees are playing the Royals now, right? And who do they got coming up this week? Do you know?
Boston after the Royals.
Oh, right. I should have known that because they were advertising the game on ESPN. So,
which I call it the Red Sox channel, the Boston channel. With my mom and I call it that because they always seem to be on ESPN on Sundays.
Yeah, I know, right? Not so much lately, maybe, but if they're playing the Yankees, it's going to be on. So, that'll be good. I mean, the Red Sox are hanging in there, but I don't think they have much of a chance against the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Yankees would at least take 2 out of 3 of that series.
Me too. Mm-hmm. Now, anyway, back to Yankee news. With the trade deadline coming soon, that the Yankees are always looking up their game with up-and-coming players, or looking to up their game with up-and-coming players. One player they have their eyes on is Oakland A's pitcher and flamethrower Mason Miller. The right-hand reliever has played very well this season so far. And a fun fact that is kind of not relevant to this, but our producer Adam actually has Mason Miller on his fantasy team, fantasy baseball team. But anyway, Miller has pitched 22 games in 28 and 2/3 innings, while posting a 2.20 ERA, earning 12 saves and a 4.9 strike to walk ratio. The 25-year-old gunslinger often throws 100+ mile an hour fastballs. He can even, against the Yankees, he was throwing 103 to 104, which is unbelievable.
Wow, that's it is unbelievable.
He's basically he's the ninth inning. I call him the ninth inning Paul Skeens because he's not a starter, but anyway, I think he'd be a great addition to the Yankees bullpen. But for the Yankees to obtain Miller, they will have to get aggressive and pay a high price for him. Joe, do you see the Yankees ending up with Miller? Because Hal Steinbrenner is saying that he doesn't want to he wants to get his payroll down, and they're having troubles with paying Soto $500 million, but they want to spend the buck for Miller. What's up with that? What do you think's going on here?
Yeah, with the Yankees, it's always possible for a player to end up there. They can always find the means to bring somebody in. So if they really wanted to, they could. Again, you got to be smart. Now, again, the way the Yankees bullpen is pitching, it's not like you need the extra help. I mean, it's always good to have, but it's not like it's absolutely necessary. It's not like they're struggling and that's the one thing that's going to keep them, out of the World Series type of thing. So that they have going for them that they don't actually need to get somebody like that. I mean, it would be great, again, to have a flamethrower like that would be amazing, but you got to consider, again, going forward, you want Juan Soto there, not only this year, but many years after this. And you got to take that into consideration. There's other things as far as salary cap and taxes and things like that too. And again, you might say, well, it's the Yankees. They can always do it. And that's true. But, again, this owner seems to be a little smarter with the funds there and a little more knowledgeable about the ramifications of that. They have so many, decent amount of good young players that you don't want to sacrifice for, something like this. So I don't know. It's a tough call. I mean, I think in the long term, they're better off avoiding this for now. Because again, it's like when we go shopping, right? How many times do we tell our kids, it's a want, it's not a need. So back off and be a little more financially responsible. And I think it's the same type of thing here. Yeah, again, it's a want, not a need, and maybe you should hold back just a little bit.
That's a great philosophy there, Joe. I love how you brought that in because I think kids need that nowadays.
Yeah.
You taught that.
Some
But,
adults do as well, believe me.
but it's logical too, what you said. It's totally
Yeah.
logical.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my thoughts are, yeah, I don't think they necessarily need Mason Miller. I think the priority is Soto.
Yes.
You keep a couple of their best hitters and sign Soto there, and you're good.
Yeah, and we've said this before in previous weeks. I mean, the Soto and the Yankees is a match made in heaven, honestly. It's a best case scenario for Soto. It's a best case scenario for the Yankees. And again, I think both of them are smart enough to make it happen. But if you're the Yankees and your ownership here, you have to make sure you got the best chance to make it happen. And if you hold back in this deal and you got the resources that you need, it's going to be that much easier to keep him and to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's move on to a former Yankee and current Fox MLB pregame analyst, Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod didn't mince any words on Fox MLB pregame with David Big Puppy Ortiz when talking about his prospects of having his number 13 retired by the Yankees. Number 13 said, "Poppy, you have a better chance of getting your number retired than I do. A-Rod on paper should have his jersey retired, but unfortunately the PED police won't let that happen, sadly." Right. Still, Rodriguez should use his Fox platform to joke about this. He is getting FaceTime and views for it. He also isn't playing anymore. And I think everybody, not just him, even us, we all should have a platform and reflect on sensitive and controversial issues in sports, because steroids was a big one when there wasn't as many platforms to talk about it. And when you did try to talk about it, you got shut down basically by the mainstream media. But now with social media and podcasts and even traditional media, I think for players who played in that area, they should speak about it like that because it's important to them. And so, Joe, do you think A-Rod should have used his platform to joke with Big Papi about that?
You know, if you're joking about it, I'm okay with that. You know, if you're going to go on a little political rant or something like that, then I would have been a little upset. I did find out a few things about these guys. I know they don't know how to pick horses, because it was the day of the Belmont Stakes and they had all these guys pick their horses and none of them were even close. But so that was kind of funny. But going back to what you were saying there, again, I'm sure it hurts A-Rod. I mean, he's got a little bit of pride, I would think. And that's a joke because, of course, we know his head is a little big. I do like him as a baseball commentator. I liked when he was on Sunday Night Baseball. And I think he does a very good job with Fox now. But, you know, again, if you're going to do it that way and keep it light and joke around about it, okay, I guess I could listen to that. As long as you're not – he didn't seem to be getting upset about it or, again, going on a little political rant about it. So as long as that stays away, then if you want to fool around and joke about it, then fine.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I totally agree with that. But luckily, we do all have platforms to talk issues about that. Anyway, right. Let's move on to the award winners. And with the Cy Young Award, could one team have two top Cy Young Award finishers? And the Cy Young Award watch is already back for 2024. And very rarely do you have one team boast the top two Cy Young Award finalists or finishers, as players receive voting points on a 5-4-3-2-1 scale. Anyway, here are the top 5 Cy Young Award finishers so far in the AL and the NL. We begin with the American League. At number 1, we have Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, who has 21 first-place votes. By only permitting 6 runs in his previous 5 outings, Skubal is without a doubt the heavy front runner for the AL Cy Young Award. The Tigers are third in the AL's top, or ranked in the AL's top 3 in ERA and strikeouts with 189. Next, we have number 2. We have Luis Gil of the New York Yankees with 4 first-place votes. Gil has been magical since taking over for Garrett Cole in the ace starting pitcher role. The flamethrower has a 2.04 ERA with 90 strikeouts over 75 innings. He has also surrendered only 35 hits on the year. Number 3, we have Corbin Burnes, baby, Burnes of the Orioles with 3 first-place votes. One of the most stable starters in the game this season. Burnes has given up at most 3 runs in his 13 starts and recording a 2.26 ERA. Number 4, we have Tanner Houck of the Red Sox with 1 first place vote. One of this season's biggest surprises on the mound, Houck has become Boston's ace. His ERA has improved from a 5.20 in 2023 to an AL leading 1.91.
Wow.
I know, right? Next, we have Seth Logo of the Royals. Put a logo on this one, Joe. Logo is taking it up a notch in 2024 with the Kansas City Royals. The 34-year-old still possesses a 2.13 ERA with a 1.02 whip and 71 strikeouts over 84 and a third innings. He allowed 2 runs or fewer in 10 of his first 12 starts. Joe, what do you think of these top 5 AL Cy Young Award candidates, and who do you think should win the AL Cy Young Award?
Yeah, all excellent pitchers. Now, again, I have a spot in my heart for Seth Lugo because former Met. I was like, where was all this when he was with the Mets, right? But he did well with the Mets and decent with the Padres, I believe, last year. All of these pitchers are excellent. If I had to choose one right now, just because I regularly look at these stats, and it seems like Skubal happens to be the one that's at the top of most of these lists as far as strikeouts, as far as, ERA and things like that. All of them, you could make a valid case, right? Heel for the Yankees is just pitching amazing. And he had a subpar outing this past week. But again, that's the Dodgers. A lot of people have subpar outings against them. So if he continues to pitch the way he's been pitching, he certainly got a chance. Against Skubal's my favorite out of the bunch just because he seems to be at or close to the top in most of those categories consistently across the board. But again, you can make a case for any of those. Corbin Burnes, Houck of the Red Sox there. Lugo got roughed up by the Yankees, I think, the other day. So, he had a rough outing there, but he's been great. I would go with Skubal right now.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go with Skubal or Hill, but Skubal's obviously the clear favorite, consensus favorite. So anyway, now here are the top 5 Cy Young Award nominees from the NL. Number 1, we have Zach Wheeler of the Phillies. He is yet to still earn his first Cy Young Award. Wheeler once again finds himself among the leading contenders for the award. He currently has a career high ERA of 2.23 and a .97 whip. Number 2, the other Phillies pitcher, Ranger Suarez. The second Phillies pitcher on this list. The 28-year-old lefty leads the MLB in wins with 10, with an ERA of 1.81 and a .85 whip. He is tied with Wheeler for tops in the NL with a 181 batting average allowed. Next, we have Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers. The right-hander boasts more strikeouts, 116, than any other pitcher. He ranks among the top 3 in the NL in WHIP, .94, and opponent's batting average of 183. Number 4, we have Chris Sale, or as Owl Nation would have said back in 2011 with their hit song, Chris Sale of the Braves. Sale is finally healthy this year after a flurry of injuries hampered him from 2019 to 2023. At 35 years old, the lefty is tops in the NL with a 2.33 FIP. And finally, at number 5 is Shota Imanaga of the Cubs. After a pair of shaky outings against the Braves and White Sox, Imanaga bounced back against the Reds on Sunday, tossing 6 2/3 innings of 2-run ball in a 4-2 win. The rookie lefty ran to third in the NL with a 1.96 ERA over 69 innings this season, making a smooth transition to the MLB after an excellent career in his native Japan. Joe, what do you think of these NL choices, and who do you think should win the NL, and what do you think of those 2 Philly pitchers?
I think, just like I said with the American League, you can make a case for any one of these guys. Again, Zach Wheeler, again, where was this with the Mets? And again, he did well with the Mets. He was just hurt half the time that he was with them. And again, no complaints there. And I'm happy to see him doing well. Again, the Phillies are playing almost 700 baseball. And do you think this could be one of the reasons why, to have 2 Cy Young candidates there? Also, some guy named Aaron Nola, who's been a Cy Young candidate in the past and is pitching some pretty good, having some starts that have been excellent as well. So if we would have had this conversation a month ago, I probably would have gone with Imanaga just because he was like unhittable, it looked like. But now overall, if you look consistently across these categories, he doesn't lead all these categories, but again, close to the top in almost all of them. I would vote right now, if I had one, for Ranger Suarez of the Phillies. Just again, because of the consistency. And if you look at the key stats and some of the expanded stats, he's right there at the top for all of them. And they got a little scare. I was watching a Phillies game a week or 2 ago, and they got hit in the line drive in the left hand, and they were a little scared, and you wondered if he was going to miss time. But fortunately, it looks like there's no negative effects of that, and hopefully he continues to pitch like he has. But again, you want the recipe for a 700 winning percentage. How about 2 Cy Young candidates right at the top of the starting rotation? So I would go with Suarez right now. But like I said, you can make an argument for any of these guys. Glasnow is I think an overwhelming leader in strikeouts, and again, he's close to the top in a lot of these categories too. He had a subpar start, but again, you're going against the Yankees. A lot of people have subpar starts against them, so he's right there at the top as well. But Ranger Suarez for me, if I had to choose.
Yeah, I agree with Ranger Suarez, and I also think Zach Wheeler too. It's going to be a battle in the NL between those 2 pitchers for sure. It's not as clear cut or cookie cutter as it is in the AL. And I messed up on that one point, folks. I apologize. I meant to say he ranks 3rd. I couldn't read my reading there, but I got it right this time. So. But anyway, we're going to move on to a section here. With the Athletics pending move to Sacramento looming, many players around MLB have let their opinions be known about the organization. In a recent MLB player poll by The Athletic, there were plenty of strong opinions about the A's relocation and the state of the franchise. And we have an anonymous player's quote here. I mean, have you seen what they're doing to the city of Oakland and their fans? An anonymous player said. Yes, I think said everybody in Major League Baseball, we've seen what they're doing. and it doesn't seem like they want to win, another player said. I've heard Oakland is pretty rough, an anonymous player explained. Sacramento for 3 years. I've been to that ballpark before, and they can't find something better. Well, I think it's a lot better that it's a 14,000 minor league ballpark, but at least they're going to be able to sell out in Sacramento if they do well. And they're going to bring in more money there, and they're not going to be able to go to Vegas right away because the ballpark won't be built until 2028. So
It's more fans than they're getting now.
right, exactly. And that's a 30,000 old rundown Coliseum. So
Right.
given the acrimonious relationship between the A's and their fans over the past few years, it's no surprise that players from around the league would have negative opinions about the organization. Team owner Jeff Fisher has garnered a negative reputation throughout the fan base and the league for a variety of reasons. Well, this is no different than Mark Davis. Mark Davis had the same reputation too, and now they're in Vegas and they like him. So Fisher's just going through the same thing. Once they get to Vegas, this is going to be immaterial. So, but for a variety of reasons, including the drawn-out discussion between the team and the city of Oakland over a new ballpark that oftentimes yielded little to no progress for years, prompting the franchise to seek relocation to Las Vegas, and the team's low payrolls. So, Joe, what do you think about the A's moving temporarily to Sacramento?
Well, you were talking about them screwing with the fans, and this has happened in football, this has happened in basketball, and now it's happening here. You know, again, at least with basketball, they moved across the bay and not to a different city. And a friend of mine, I've shared this before, but a friend of mine quoted this once, and when the Raiders were moving, and this is what he said. He said, "Imagine me telling my wife, look, in a couple of years, I'm going to divorce you. However, in these 2 years before I do that, I still want you to do my laundry. I still want you to wash my clothes or to iron my clothes. I still want you to cook for me. But just so you know, I'm leaving in 2 years." You know, what kind of, that it's ridiculous. And that's basically what these fans are being told and how they're being treated. I've always said this before too. I'm a traditionalist. When I first started watching baseball, or shortly after I did, I mean, the A's were the cream of the crop. The A's had won 3 straight World Series championships. They were, at the pinnacle of baseball. Lots of tradition there in Oakland. And again, they've had championship teams after that as well in the late 80s. And it's just so sad to see it go down like this. I still wish there was a way to keep them in Oakland forever, but at least to keep them in Oakland until the park is ready in Vegas and until they're ready to go there. Not a little league park in Sacramento. I get the fact that Sacramento is a lot more thriving than Oakland these days. And I get the hunger for Sacramento to have another sports team there. That part makes sense. And I'm happy for the fans of Sacramento. But at the same time, again, extremely disappointed for the fans, in Oakland. And again, how would I react to that? I don't know. How would I react to support a team that's not trying to win, as somebody said here? They're on their way out. Why am I going to pay money to go see a game there? If I was an A's fan. So it's just a lose-lose situation. It's a lose-lose for the fans, the team, baseball, and just in general. And it's just a negative situation that people have messed up that I think could have been avoided. Again, keep them there, come up with some way. You've been in the stadium for how long and renovated or whatever. Why not stay another few years, 4 or 5 years, and then finally you're ready to go? But it's just a sad situation there.
And you obviously know my feelings, Joe. I've said it. I think it's sad and everything. And I'm like you. I am a traditionalist, but where we differ is I'm a traditionalist until you need to break tradition because it's like obvious and it's cut and dry that you have to break tradition. And like I said, they moved to Vegas because Vegas that's a thriving city. And that was a thriving city even before all the sports teams came there. And like I said, Oakland was a thriving city, and it's not anymore. And in these times, you need to be able to, and it's like everybody moving. Like when one city isn't thriving, you can move to another thing that is thriving, and it just ends up being a better place, especially for nowadays. But yeah, I am sad for the fans. I mean, the A's did have a lot of tradition, but I think they'll have a lot of fans when they get to Sacramento to sell out. But I don't know if you've seen the renderings of the Vegas ballpark, but it looks really cool. It's like an outdoor park, but it's got half retractable roof on it too, which is really cool. And it's supposed to host 30,000 fans.
That's a great idea. And I agree with you, Jamie. It's sometimes tradition has to be broken. And if you compare Oakland to Las Vegas, I mean, there's absolutely no comparison, to a city. No offense to Oakland. I mean, I've never been there. This is just what I hear. But again, a city gets more run down all the time and really not a lot of, life there anymore. And then you get a place like Las Vegas that's just growing in leaps and bounds. And when you have that opportunity, yes, I get it. You have to take that. It's just sad to me. Again, just for traditionalist sake, I wish they could figure something out in Oakland, but I totally agree with what you're saying about that.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like we come to the end of our show. So Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024?
All right. Well, it's halfway through 2024 already. That's crazy. But Joe Dell Sports on X, Twitter, my little tidbits about baseball and other sports on there. That's where I can be found in the social media world.
All right. And then you can find me, yours truly, and the hostess with the mostest on this podcast on Bills Chat 1, at Bills Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dogtens on X, and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. And before we go, guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, keep subscribing to our YouTube channel, Driving to the Top Productions. The more subscribers we get, the better we can grow. And for another episode to tune in of the Subway Conversation Room, tune in every Wednesday live at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel, our Twitch stream, our Twitter page, or wherever you get your podcasting platform. Thank you very much for listening, folks. And get your New York sports here next week, Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. See you next week, folks.
Have a great week, everybody.